Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Welcome aboard. Jacqueline Campisi, la profesora de Katy, Texas. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. And I lost the first group of messages. So what I am going to do is see if I can get into my Facebook messages and say, welcome aboard, everybody. May Wood from Long Beach, California. How are you doing, my dear brother? Let's see if I can get a few more of those messages. Where are all of your messages? Let's see what else we got here. Who else is in the house? Michael Rudden says, Egberto, did you happen to read your FB messages today? I got it too late, my brother. Get it for you tomorrow. I'll try to get it for you tomorrow. Let's see what else I've got in here, because as it turns out, maybe I have to go to the other screen to get that message. Let's see if I can do it that way. All right, here we go. Michael Rudnin, I got your message. Says, Washington Post, EPA moves to end climate regulation under Clean Air Act. The 2009 endangerment finding concluded that greenhouse gases endangers public health and welfare, establishing a legal basis to regulate them as air pollutants under the Clean Air Act. The EPA's new proposal strikes at this foundation and argues the Clean Air Act does not give the agency the authority to regulate greenhouse emissions. These are the last few years where humanity has a chance yet to set. The so-called leader of the free world is ignoring the threat, while the damage is already all around us and the pressures of a rapidly changing climate towards a hot house Earth is only going to get worse. How many ways can we say we're cooked? It's a shame, isn't it? It is a real shame. It is a real shame. Let me just say this, folks. A lot of people would like you to believe that, well, only the United States is doing this, and that is not the truth at all. It's not just the United States doing things, but I'd like you guys to postulate about one thing. Whenever you hear anybody complain and say that, these other countries are polluting more than us or whatever, I need you to remember one thing. If you go ahead and take a look at all the carbon in the air right now, and you assign all the carbon in the air to the countries who put it there, we still far exceed what the other countries have put into the air. Our industrial revolution, we are asking people, some people ask more of us, which there should be more of us doing. America should be doing more than anyone else. And why is that? Because the industrial revolution was built on our back. A lot of people say England, but England not so much as the United States. We owe the world the amount of carbon that we have thrown into the air. And nobody really wants to talk about that. Because what you see then is equity. When we look at equity, we find out that we have taken so much more out of the world than anybody else. And as such, the 4% of our population, we must do our part. All right, welcome aboard, Adam W. Welcome aboard, John A. Davis, Muddy Bog, Peggy Garrity, John A. Davis, Marge KJ, how you doing, beautiful? Loretta Viner, Lasek Jed Zenevi, how do you say that? Lulsajed Genevieve. We also have Karen Andrews. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia says Trump fools Stooges supporters or fools that are responsible for mess Trump and his cabinet are making. Yes, they are. Let's see what else we've got here coming down. Michael says China invested 6.8 trillion yuan, about 9 yuan it is, $940 billion in clean energy in 2024. It's a shame, and we are not doing our part. All right, folks, I have an interview today with Jon Rosenthal. Jon Rosenthal is the vice chair of the redistricting committee in the Texas legislature. And you probably saw him this morning on both CNN and MSNBC. And what I did is I called him up. I got an extensive interview with him. So what I'm going to do is I am going to play that interview as soon as I queue it up. But of course, I have to queue it up first. And here is Jon. Let's just say it to Jon Rosenthal. And the other one I want to do is an issue with Social Security. Let me get to the PDR files and get that Social Security one up. There you go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. Welcome aboard, Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. And welcome aboard, Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Did I miss anybody before I move on? All right. Charlotte Decanter. Welcome, Charlotte Decanter, Jeffrey Hook, and Karen Andrews. Thank you for being here. All right. Let's go to the vice chair of the redistricting committee in the Texas legislature who is fighting the redistricting that will damage us all. Let's go ahead and do that right this minute. Oops! Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, said something out. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. As Republicans push an unprecedented mid-decade redraw, Rosenthal has pressed for transparency and community input, especially after public hearings proceeded with draft maps, a move that alarmed voting rights advocates and local leaders in Houston. He argues that gerrymandering distorts the will of voters, dilutes the political power of communities of color, driving Texas growth, and undermines confidence in democracy. His advocacy situates Texas within a national struggle over redistricting norms as partisan actors test legal boundaries to lock in advantage ahead of 2026. For Representative Rosenthal, fair maps are not a partisan luxury. They are the precondition for responsive government in a rapidly diversifying state. So who is Mr. Rosenthal? Jon Rosenthal represents Texas House District 135, Northwest Houston, Cypress, and Jersey Village, and brings a 20-plus year engineering career in the oil and gas sector to the Capitol. First elected in 2018 after unseating a 12-term incumbent, he has built a reputation for data-driven policy making on public education, infrastructure, gun safety, and fair maps. He now serves as vice chair of both the House Redistricting Committee and the Select Committee on Congressional Redistricting, placing him at the center of Texas's high-stakes fight over representation. Senor and Representative Jon Rosenthal, how are you doing today, my brother?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, look,
good to see you. You're looking good.
You look great. I mean, I've seen you in a suit and tie. You just got off of CNN. I said, I got to speak to my brother a little bit and see what's going on, what you have on your hands in Austin at our Capitol. Sir, first of all, what's going on?
Oh, my goodness. So what's going on is, oh, my goodness. Where to even start? So here's where it starts. I'm the vice chair of the redistricting committee during the regular session. So for those who aren't part of the sort of inside baseball thing here, a Texas legislature meets for 4 months in odd numbered years. So January through June, basically January through the end of May, whatever. And during the regular session, this session, our redistricting committee did not even meet. We didn't convene. And then what happens? the felon in the White House, the convicted felon in the White House, calls the governor of Texas and says, I need you to find me 5 new Republican seats in Texas. So now suddenly it's an emergency item for the legislature of Texas to redraw the congressional maps. The governor and the president are trying to rig those maps so that the GOP can stay in power in Congress. So they have a very slim majority up there, and they're trying to hold on to that majority. And their policies are so unpopular that they know they're going to lose unless they cheat in the election. And so that's what they're doing. They're trying to rig the maps. And that would be bad enough. But the worst part is it's a racist assault on communities of color. The districts that they're going after, they're trying to draw out are African-American representatives, and they're trying to dilute the voice of the Latino community and to convert some of these strong Democratic districts to be competitive or lean Republican. And that's the true travesty of this, is it's a racist attack on communities of color to cheat to win an election that they know they're going to lose.
Now, I understand that they are basing these maps on the 2024 election, what they saw as the voter base, because one of the not bad things, I think a good thing in Texas is you don't quite really know who are Republicans and who are Democrats, because we don't register based on party. We just register, and whoever votes in a primary kind of gives you an idea, correct?
That's correct.
Now, here's the thing that I have for you, John. I am wondering, and I sat down and I slept on this last night. I am wondering if things get bad enough by 2026 and they decide to redraw these maps where they have to actually now somewhat dilute some of your districts, this could come back and bite their butts.
It could. Absolutely. So if you remember when we met in 2018, I was running for office.
Yes.
And, I'm the career mechanical engineer, left industry to run for office. I'm an anti-Trumper, and that's how I got into politics in the first place. And I defeated, as you said in the opening, a 24-year GOP incumbent to flip my district from red to blue. And this was in direct response to the first Trump administration. In the election right before mine in 2016, in that election, House District 135 in Northwest Houston was Republican plus 10. So the Republican incumbent won by 10 points in 2016. And as a result of so it's a safe district for the Republican.
Right.
Nobody gave me a chance in 2018, but because of the backlash and because of the energy rising up, people trying to protect their communities and stand up for their rights, that's what allowed me to win. And so we went from Republican plus 10 to Democrat plus 2, a 12-point swing in Northwest Harris County. And that's why I'm sitting here in the Capitol building today. And
this is your what term again?
This is my 4th term. So I'm a no in these elections as a complete novice. Like I never ran for
in a Republican district.
It used to be, now it's a Democrat district.
But the question is, it's a Republican district, or rather, it was a Republican district. They're good. One could actually say that because you did such a good job for that district, they went ahead and they rewarded you, because I don't think there was like a hell of a transition in that district, was there?
No, the way that it went was, we should probably break this down. So when I won in 2018, and then I served in my freshman session. Imagine a guy my age being called a freshman.
Imagine that, right?
Just imagine, right? So that was in 2019. I was sworn into the legislature. So immediately coming out of that, of course, Republicans want the seat back and they're going to go after it. And that election was very competitive. It was a multi-million-dollar race. Republicans and their allies spent $2 million
to unseat you,
trying to get rid of me. And I shouldn't say I should say our allies, the team that we built, the coalition that got me elected in the first place prevailed. So they outspent us 2-1. I'm still standing. And so that was an incredibly contentious and competitive election. And then after that, we redrew the lines for redistricting. And that really changed things up because all of the districts in Northwest Harris County were becoming competitive. And they decided to go ahead and crack and pack those communities. So me being the Democrat in that part of the region, they tried to load as many Democrats
in there. So now it's a decidedly Democratic district.
Now it's a decidedly Democrat district.
Now, let's getting back to the subject of this redistricting and what you're doing. What are your plans? I mean, I know you are one of the leaders in the pack to decide what's going to be done with respect to the gerrymandering that they're attempting. First of all, do you really think that Texas is sufficiently red to be able to pull another 5 seats out?
So first, that's a unsafe bet. The whole reason that I bring up the 2018 election and how I won in a district that was double-digit Republican favored. Those folks, if they don't have 10 more than 10-point advantages in those districts they're drawing, they're going to be in danger. And I would argue that people are mad, and people are mad right now because they see the governor and the Republicans playing out this political gamesmanship, this whole sham of a redistricting in the off season sort of thing at a time when the people of Texas expect us to be acting on the flood relief, on the massive disaster that just occurred in Kerr County in Central Texas. 100-something Texans perished. Dozens of children lost their lives. Families are torn up. They're literally burying their children as we speak. And the governor and the GOP of this state decide they want to engage in a political power grab instead of actually doing what we need to do for the people of Texas. So I imagine there will be some backlash to that. And so some of those districts they draw might not be as safe as they think they are. So that's the first thing is if they are able to pass these maps, and I promise we will fight that, we will obstruct them, we will use every tool at our disposal to push back and to really hand it. I mean, you will see Democrats in this fight. If they manage to pass those maps, I think everybody, not just in Texas, but around the country, will be mobilizing in these elections. You'll see a similar sort of nuclear option effort by some of the blue state governors. Democrats in Texas have been meeting with blue state governors to build up that firewall. Now, we can't ask them to redistrict their states. They have to do whatever they got to do that's best for them. But you already see those governors talking about it.
Oh, they're ready.
They're talking about it in New York and California and Illinois. And I met with the governor of New Mexico just this week. So it's a thing. Like if they pull out this stuff, if they go nuclear, it's going to be on.
And the interesting thing, and what many people don't realize, is the country has a bias towards the Democratic Party. And while some may say the Democratic Party is in the dumpster right now in the polls, etc., the values of the Democratic Party is what most people around the country have. So, I mean, it's interesting that you wonder if these guys really understand the hands that they have and what to play. Now, what are you open to speak about? What are the options that you're planning stepwise?
I'm definitely not going to speak about what we're planning because we don't want to let the other side know.
Got it. I understood. That's why
to hit them. But I will tell you what's up first is tomorrow. I don't know when this will air for different people at different times.
This will air before tomorrow and very early tomorrow as well.
Okay, so Friday, August 1st, we're going to have 10 hours of testimony in a public hearing in the state capital of Texas, where they are going to roll out this new map that they just filed yesterday. They waited till the last minute to file it. So the hearings that we had around the state to start off this sham effort, they weren't even showing us the map. And they kept saying, oh, we haven't seen the map. We don't have a map, blah, 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 whatever. The very next day they file a map. So tell me where that came from. Anyway, we'll have a public hearing in the state capitol. I invite everybody to to come. I'll give you links that you can use so that people can submit their thoughts online. If you don't want to come to the Capitol and testify in person, you can submit testimony online. But I would invite people to stand up, fight back. So what we always say, I'm a political activist. What do we do when our rights are under attack?
We stand up and fight back.
Stand up, fight back. So come to the Capitol, call your legislators. You'll see us fighting for you. And what we want is we want to create an environment where those Republicans, they already know what they're doing is wrong. We went through 15 hours of hearings already, and those Republicans sitting on the front row of committee are like this, and they're just on their phones, not paying attention to hundreds and hundreds of Texans standing in front of them to give testimony and say, hell no, we don't want you to screw up our maps even worse than they are already. And let me tell you, we had 1,000 people show up in the University of Houston for a committee hearing.
Yes, I know.
1,000 people.
People couldn't get in. Cody Pogue, who ran for 127 a few years ago, he came and he didn't come all that late. He couldn't get in. He had to stand up on the outside.
Right. And we had the same thing at UT Arlington. I expect it'll be similar tomorrow in the Capitol. We'll do, my office is always a home for everybody who comes into the Capitol. If you're here to testify, you can always stop by here, or we've got sort of a hospitality space,
right,
room that we're setting up. This is kind of an auditorium thing where folks can make themselves
comfortable. I've been there a few times. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but we want the Republicans to understand that what they're doing is boldly unpopular. The people of Texas don't want it. The one thing I want to add is, out of that 1,000 people in Houston, another 600-700 in Arlington, another 200 or 300 in Austin, and we had one person come to the microphone and say, "Yeah, I want to do this because we want to keep Trump in power," of testimonials. And most of them are, hell no, don't do this. There's a handful of, we want you to draw a fair map, so please do that since you have an opportunity. We know that's not going to happen. And then me and my team have combed through the comments online, 3,000 comments online. And so far we've run into about 3 of people that thought that this was a good idea. So let me tell you, it's just a partisan, political, racist attack on especially Black communities, but Black and Latino communities for sure. They want to dismantle 3 of the 5 districts that have African American representation.
I noticed that Al Green is pretty much districted out of his
to make that a safe Republican seat with a very slim Latino majority, and that will be so it's going to be Houston, but it'll be attached to a large rural area that will completely dilute the voices of those Latino voters.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. But what I want to do here is point out some strategies that I wonder about. The big bad bill is really big, bad, and ugly. And the people that it will harm the most are the rural people in rural areas. It'll close hospitals in rural areas. My question to you, Representative, is the following. I want your party to go out to these areas before next year, when those things are starting to happen, and let these folks know that their particular current congressperson is actually the one that passed the bill that will lose that nursing home. In other words, here's what I'm asking you, Representative. Not you, I don't mean you, but is your team, not your team, but the mass of Democrats right now, are they doing the research on hospitals that are about to close, nursing homes that are about to close, and all of these? Enumerate them and then go out there, flesh and blood, whether they are heckling you or not, and actually say, you're an activist like we were. You were a part of the team at one time before you had to become a statesman. That's in jest. But are we doing the work that is actually going to do that out there in our rural areas?
I would say yes. I believe so. So certainly from my perspective, your Texas state legislature, the House Democratic Caucus, and the the Senate Democrat caucus, we are hard at work at this stuff right now. We've staffed up. So what we did during the off season before we came in and at the before the session started was, as a caucus, we raised extra money so we could bring in staff that does research and messaging and provides us with some of these tools. So this is one of the things that Democrats have just quite frankly sucked at in Texas is they haven't been organized, they haven't been unified on message, and they have not used the tools at their disposal. So there's another side to that where we want to make sure that we're partnering with national partners and the Congress folks and their reelection campaigns, because that's part of how I got elected, right? A small campaign in my area elected Lizzie Fletcher, for those of your listeners that are familiar with the Congresswoman from Houston's West Side. We're friends, we're partners. And so we have to be building these layers together. There has to be unified messaging. It has to be informed by data, and it has to be properly resourced. We have to be in those spaces. We have to get that message out, not just in person. So we have to be in person in those communities, but we also have to be pervasive in the infosphere, in all these new spaces where between bloggers and influencers and social media platforms, where the Republicans have staked out an advantage, we need to meet people where they are. And if that's where they are, then we need to talk to them there. So it has to be all the layers. We have to be unified on message, and we have got to work this top to bottom and bottom to top if we're gonna win in Texas. It's a big hill to climb.
Look, as a mechanical engineer, as you being a mechanical engineer, myself being a mechanical engineer, both from the University of Texas, I have no doubt, absolutely, I have no doubt that you know the concepts, you know the math, you know the data. I really hope that you are using your expertise out there with the Democratic caucus to push that what you know. I really hope so. Well, I know that you are. I'm
a team player, and now in my fourth term, I've been around a few years, and at the beginning, I'm a fighter. I came into the legislature as an activist, and I still push those same ideals. You can look at the bills I file and all that stuff. But as I've moved along, I think it's become more and more important to me to be using the influence that seniority comes with to work behind the scenes. And so I'm part of I can't say I'm part of the caucus leadership, but I will say the caucus chair is one of my best friends in the legislature.
Well, I got to interrupt you. You are a part of the leadership, my brother. The fact that you're leading here on the redistricting is good enough for us to define you that way.
What I mean is I don't run for any of those caucus like a chair or secretary, treasurer. I'm not part of that hierarchy like that. But yeah, I'm part of the brain trust, and I work a lot behind the scenes. I help to run the plays on the House floor. So when we have strategy going, and we're trying to file amendments, gum them up, make them take hard votes, I'm part of all of that effort. I'm part of the research team. So yeah, I'm heavily involved in all of that stuff. And if there's any place where sort of my skills are useful, it's in the data analysis part, and also, just being pragmatic about stuff. You have to figure out what works, and you have to do that. So instead of talking too much, people have to see us in action, I think.
Representative Rosenthal, what should I have asked you that I didn't?
You might. So we talked a little bit about the flood relief and how Texans want us to do that. This special session should be focused on relief for the families that are in distress, for putting systems in place to make sure that level of tragedy can't happen again. We've got this effort by the lieutenant governor to ban THC in all hemp products. We should have some sensible, regulation and tax it, regulate it, just like alcohol. But I think the most important thing to know is that Democrats are fighting for the people of Texas. And if you all will tune in, you will see us in the battle.
Representative Jon Rosenthal, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you so much. Always good to see you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it
I
flies.
got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Oh, it was hard to stop. Anyway, folks, look, I want to answer a question from Natalie Lago. She asked, Egberto, I'd love to hear your thoughts about why Texas historically has extremely low primary voting turnout for every election compared to its numbers of registered voters. They're twofold. A lot of people, whoops, let me take that thing off the screen. A lot of people would tell you, well, it's voter suppression. Is that part of the answer? Yes. We make it very difficult to vote. Let me tell you, in many other states, you can go online, you can register to vote online, no problem. In look, they got your driver's records, for Social Security, anything. It's easy to do, but they don't want to make it easy for you to vote in Texas. So you have to go ahead, get a piece of paper, fill it out, mail it in, hope that you get the mail back and it doesn't get lost. So they make it a bit arcane in Texas to vote. But I don't even consider that the most important reason why Texas turnout is low. I consider Texas turnout low because they feel it doesn't make a difference if they come out to vote. We know that's not true, but it's incumbent on the people who are running in Texas to earn the vote of everybody. Notice what I told John. I told John, are you guys getting the data? Are you guys making a list? Texas is a very big state, huge. Texas is the size of many countries many times, okay? I asked him, are you making a list of all the hospitals that are closing, that are at the dire straits? Are you making lists of the hundreds of nursing homes that are right on the tip and all of that? Because here's what I want the Democratic Party to do out here. I want them to start a campaign, of a rural campaign, because you have to remember that some of the pain the folks are going to feel will come after the 26th election. But I want them to be able to describe the pain before the election with empirical data. And how do you do that? You get all the hospitals, all the clinics, all the nursing homes that are on the edge, because every year, because of Medicare Advantage, because of Medicaid, like Texas not accepting the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, you don't have that. So here's the deal now. Here's what I want them to do. They get a list of all the nursing homes that are in trouble. They get a list of all the people that don't have insurance but could qualify for the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Because remember, Texas voted it down. They all every year they decide not to take the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. So there are several things that we can do now. We can go up ahead and get the list of all the uninsured, and we can go and tell them, if your senator, if your state senator or your state congressperson had voted for Medicaid expansion, your child would have health care. But I'm not saying just put this on TV or for me to say it out loud. Touch and feel, hug, showing your love, doing that in town after town after town. Let me tell you what I do here in Kingwood. In Kingwood, we have a part called, this is a part of Houston, but it's like a closed, like a closed red community in Kingwood. You have all kinds of functions in town center where they don't tell you directly this is a political event, but you know it's a political event based on what they're telling you. When you go to church in Kingwood, you know it's a political event because they're telling you things. I want Democrats to start not near an election, all during the times to educate people of how they're being screwed. Get a list of all Republicans. It's not hard to get. And start sending mail saying, if you don't have insurance, here is why. Call this number, right? And if they don't have insurance and they call that number, you go ahead and you tell them the reason you don't have insurance is because they chose not to accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Let me give you another thing they can do. As people lose insurance in starting in November, right? What do? You buy numbers, telephone numbers, and you say, if you don't have insurance and you want insurance, call this number. And when you call that number, you tell them, okay, the reason you don't have insurance is because XYZ voted against the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. If you want insurance, elect this person, and what will happen is we will immediately provide the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which will give you health insurance. There are many techniques that if you're using your head, because it's not false advertising. Don't think about this. You don't have insurance? Call this number and we will show you how you can get insurance. You don't have health insurance? Call this number so we can tell you how to get it. And then how do you get it? Vote for the people who are going to provide the policies that are going to give you health insurance. We have to think outside of the box. You know what Republicans do? They lie to you. They went ahead and they created robocalls that lie to people. We can create robocalls to tell people the truth, but we don't do that. We don't do that. So that is the answer, my friend, Miss Lago. That is the answer. There are a lot of techniques that we can use if we really wanted to get insurance. You want insurance? We can get you insurance. Vote us in, we'll get you insurance. That's simple because it's there already. So it's not like we have to go ahead and get the law passed, right? We can get it right now because the law is just waiting for us to accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Now, there's a caveat. People who are on the exchange, because the subsidies have been cut, they'll see a higher price for their health care. So we create another telephone line. The other telephone line says, hey, have your insurance on the exchange doubled? Call this number to learn how we can get it back down. And the way to get it back down is you give a long show. The reason the price has doubled is because the big beautiful bill removed the subsidies. We are short X amount of votes for the subsidies. Vote this person into office and they are committed to go ahead and reinstitute those subsidies. There are magical things for us to do if we want to win. And that is something that that people have something to vote for. It's not like, those guys lie all the time. Tell them what you're going to do. And as soon as you take over the legislature, you do it. It's not hard. Texas has a $30 billion surplus. We have a $30 billion surplus. You guys understand what that is? One state, $30 billion surplus. We don't want to pay our teachers, but we got a $30 billion surplus. So there's a lot that could get people to vote, but we have to think outside of the box. But let me tell you the dirty little secret. The dirty little secret is this. Too many Democrats are on the dole as well. Okay? In other words, they don't want things perfectly well because they themselves are capitalists. They won't tell you this. They are unfettered capitalists just like any other neoliberal. And that's who we must break. That's why I said in the primaries, we must elect. We must elect the right people. We must elect the right people. Anyway, folks, I hope you get that. Uju says, exactly, Egberto. In this age of Chat GPT, these staffers can legitimately find every single hospital and nursing home in the state, start a war room. This is legitimately a war. Also ask ChatGPT to ask how much of the subsidies under the ACA is. Also find out school districts, how much the average salaries are, etc. Literally, the data is available. Make a battle plan and start fighting. Uju, I love you. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. That is what a fight looks like, people. And by the way, you hear what Uju is saying? Let me tell you the other dirty little secret. We don't have to wait for my brother John, who I just interviewed, to do it. Am I not doing it right now? Am I not telling you all right now? Is Uju not bringing that to the fold right now to say all the things we can do individually? There you go. We are going to have to hold the bulls by its horns, and we are going to have to do it ourselves, and we're going to have to bring those guys kicking and screaming. But we can do it. So, folks, don't play yourself cheap. I got one more video that I need to play. The Treasury Secretary, remember we talk about privatizing Social Security. The Republicans will constantly say, we're not privatizing Social Security. But the Treasury Secretary slipped. They want to backdoor privatize Social Security. Check this out, and then we will take it on the other side. Oops! Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, said something out loud he shouldn't have said. But you know what? The good thing about it is those of us in the progressive space have understood this for such a long time. And it's one of the reasons we comment. It's one of the reasons we fight. It's one of the reasons we educate so hard. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the privatization of Social Security. You know that these people are into privatization of everything. But we'll talk about that at the end of this segment. I want you to listen to the slip up that Scott Bessent said in this little segment on Stephanie Ruhl's program, The 11th Hour, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Within Donald Trump's big ugly bill is the creation of a new savings plan for children with the MAGA-friendly name Trump Account. Yes, that name is baked into the law, is what it is. Now, their overall idea isn't radically new. Similar ideas have been proposed by Democrats before, by Republicans before. And this new program functions essentially like individual retirement accounts with a few complicated rules. And they come with a $1,000 initial deposit from the federal government for children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. So, and then parents can contribute up to $5,000 a year in tax-deferred contributions to the account until the child turns 18. But take a look, or take a listen, not just a look, take a listen to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talking about the new Trump accounts at an event hosted by right-wing news outlet Breitbart.
In a way, it is a backdoor for privatizing Social Security. Like Social Security is a defined benefit plan paid out that, to the extent that if all of a sudden these accounts grow and you have in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for your retirement, then that's a game changer too.
I don't know if he practiced that line, if somebody wrote him that line, but he just said it's a backdoor for privatizing Social Security, which sounds like what someone sounds like when they say the quiet part out loud. Joining me now is Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts. Senator, great to see you. I know there are votes tonight. Thank you for taking the time. Sometimes I just want to say, and unfortunately this is evergreen during this moment, Secretary, why are you saying that out loud, Mr. Secretary? What did you make? You are so familiar with retirement accounts, what is good, what is bad for families, and of course the impact of privatizing Social Security, even if it's a backdoor way. What did you make of what the Secretary said today?
Well, so the Secretary is just reiterating what Republicans have been saying for years and years and years and years. They want to privatize Social Security. They want their buddies on Wall Street to be able to get their hands on your retirement. And they want to take away the retirement that Americans earn out of their paychecks every single week, every single paycheck. And look, it's just another Trump scam. As you pointed out, this initial boost is only for 3 years. And basically, it's only for families that can afford to put $5,000 into a kid's account every year. The bottom line, I just say this every chance I get about Social Security. Social Security is not charity. Social Security is something people earn by making their contributions, and it becomes a solemn contract between the worker, the person who paid in, and the government. And we have to continue to honor that. And we're just not going to let the Republicans continue to chip away at it. That's what they're going to try to do. That's why we fight them.
So yes, it's about ultimately the privatization of everything. Right now it is Social Security. We have been privatizing healthcare more and more, even Medicare, which was, Medicare is kind of interesting because Medicare was created because private insurance companies couldn't make a profit on older people. So the federal government went ahead and instituted Medicare. And now that they're collecting for Medicare, guess who wants to administer it for them? The private sector, because they want to rip us all out with Medicare Advantage. Well, the same is they want to do the same way they're privatizing Medicare with Medicare Advantage is what they want to do with Social Security. Call it Social Security Advantage. Who knows? But this is what we have to be careful of. These people intended on privatizing every one of our government services. And the thing about it, folks, is this. There are areas where profits do not belong. Profits do not belong in the services that the government provides, whether it be Medicare, whether it be Medicaid, whether it be SNAP, whether it be child. All of this should remain under the jurisdiction of we the people. We the people. Because again, whenever these items become privatized, understand what it really means. It means your tax dollars are being used directly to enrich someone. Your dollars are transferred to others. People say, but wait, don't everything intersect with the private sector? Yes, they do. But at the highest level, it should never occur. We should never have we should never allow Social Security to be privatized. We must fight and stop the privatization of Medicare. And we must remember, folks, that none of these companies, this president, this Congress, this Senate that would like to privatize quite a few things, privatization is never a benevolent thing. It is never done because some company is nice. No company is nice. It is always done for the ulterior motive of making a profit. And what that means is whatever or however that program has to change to ensure a profit, that is exactly what's going to get done. We have been through this when Bush won the second time. Remember the first time he failed, just like Donald Trump failed on the first time to win the popular vote. When he won the second time, he got the majority of the popular vote. I don't know about it being the max popular, but I know of the people who voted. Now, he said he had capital and he was going to privatize Social Security, and that fell on its face justifiably because what? Americans know better. Imagine if you're about to retire and we have Social Security in the stock market, in that stock market that occurred in 2008. Where do you think the country would be and what do you think they would do with your money? There are places we should never have the private sector. And Social Security, Medicare are two of them. And I would add energy and certain levels of food. But that's for another day. Folks, be cognizant of what these guys say. Be cognizant of what they say, because they mean it. And they mean to privatize our entire lives, which simply makes us rentiers. Let's think about it. Oh man, I was tired when I did that video. Sorry about the ending of that video. I lost steam. That was probably one this morning. But when I saw that video on the screen, I said, I have to bring this to you guys because, look, these guys are very, very serious. Very serious. My dear brother John, talk to me. Elaine, welcome aboard, Elaine. Talk to me, John. Oh, before you speak, John, is this
Yeah,
Elaine
yeah.
from Kingwood? Elaine from Kingwood. You should call in. There is a lady on your chat, if it's or on your board, if who I think it is, that I'd like to hear your thoughts about how she thinks. Hey, John, how you doing, my dear brother? And by the way, the number is 281-823-7747. That is 281-823-7747. Let me put that in the chat. Hey, my brother John, how
Yeah,
you doing today, sir?
yeah, I'm doing fine. Your show is wonderful. Yeah, I just wanted to say, really what they should say is make America 19th century again, where people just basically, if something happened to them, they would just die. That's why. I mean, if these programs didn't work, nobody would have invented them to begin with. FDR didn't take it out of his backside and say, hey, let's do this. I mean, why would you? It was a response to what was the most devastating depression in the history of this country. And these programs saved that. And then also I wanted to say the Great Society program, I have a deep respect for President Johnson because
Johnson,
that
absolutely.
made the big difference between people living in absolute desperation in old age to being able to take care of themselves and not be dependent on their family. Every other country in the world has a social safety net. But the problem is none of these people in Congress even need a social safety net because they're all damn rich. You don't need a social safety net. But remember Paul Ryan? He got he benefited from the same programs that he was trying to eliminate. Anyway, that's all. I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, John, I want to be your manager for your committee, okay? Because that was a good committee thing about what is it? Get back to the 19th century. Make America
Well,
19th
make
century
America
again.
19th again. Die and decrease the excess population. That's what Charles Dickens said through his character Scrooge. Why don't you just die and decrease the excess population? Thank you again. Well, we don't have to go back to that, and that's not civilized. I mean, why would you want to do that to your fellow American and yourself and your family and your children? Because, out of Social Security, people also, if your parents die or something happens like that, you get survivor benefits. Let's not forget that. Survivor benefits.
Exactly right.
For your children.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
John, thank you very
You're
much for
welcome.
your always insightful calls, my friend. You take care. All right, folks. Michael has a good one. He says, if Trump doesn't tackle on his tariff plans, a second Great Depression is all but assured within the next couple of years. Thank you for bringing that up, Michael. I want to enlighten people about something, right? It doesn't matter if you take money out of the economy in a backdoor manner or through the front door. If you're taking money out of the economy, you're taking money out of the economy. Here is what I want to point out to you all. If I decided to start printing a whole bunch of $100 bills, and let's say I print $100 billion of $100 bills, and I partition all that out throughout America, we will get inflation, not necessarily, but we will get inflation if the amount of money that I've printed is not enough to cover what the people want to buy with that money. Okay? So if nobody knows, I'm a perfect a person who knows how to make dollars perfectly. Nobody can detect that it's false. If I throw that into the economy, I will ruin the economy if I put too much in when there's not enough productive capacity for the things people want to buy. Everybody's going to be able to bid up prices all the way up. Okay. The same, the other side is true as well. What Donald Trump is doing is taking your money as a tax. Republicans always say taxing reduces the economic activity, and they are only partially right. If you tax poor people, you reduce the amount of money they would normally spend. But if you tax rich people, they never had a problem in what they wanted to buy. Whether you tax them a bunch or a little bit, they will not lower their standard of living because they don't have to. They have so much. We don't understand wealth in this country. So therefore, taxing the wealthy won't take money out of the economy circulation, but taxing the poor will immediately take money out of circulation. And when brother Michael Rudnin says that if he keeps doing this, it could start a depression, he's absolutely right. We are removing on the order of $300 billion out of the economy every year. That's $3 trillion if we follow his path. That is $300 billion out of all of your pockets. 50 cents here, $10 here, $100 here, $50 here, an equivalent of another $2,000 to $3,000 out of your pocket every year. That's money not going in to buy anything. And it's also not money going, people can say, well, with that, we can actually give more SNAP. But that's not what he's using the money for. If it were taking that money out and giving it to people who need to buy SNAP or people who need to, that they spend it into the economy, it would be multiplicative. But because it's coming out of the pocket of the poor and the middle class, who are not going to spend it, and as opposed to taking out of the pocket of the wealthy who didn't earn their wealth anyway, it will reduce economic activity as it has already started to do. The 3% GDP growth was not real. It came about because we had very low imports. And that is what most people or a lot of people don't understand. Anyway, folks, at the end of the program, I want to ask you so kindly to please support the program. How can you do that? Please become paid supporters. How do you become a paid supporter? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you become a paid supporter, all of our books you can read online. You can read at Substack. Everything you hear me talk about, you can get it. And what books are we talking about? The ones that are scrolling on the screen right now. Well, that's going to start scrolling ahora mismo. So please consider supporting what we do. As you can see, I had a couple of Medicare stories to tell you today. I'll wait for tomorrow to tell you these stories because it shows you the importance of what we do here and why we are necessary in this space. But again, please support the program the best you can. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you don't want to subscribe, there is another way to support us as well now. And it's simply, I finally got it up, buying us a coffee. And Margaret bought me a coffee to help me go to New Orleans. So I put both of them in there, both how to use the newsletter or how to buy us a cup of coffee or whatever donation you want to give to support what we do, which is very important. All right, got to get out of here. Remember, you can email me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. Or you can, send me through all the different methods of communications we have. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? And look, I clapped my hand before I had my stuff on the knob. Usually I get this stuff all right. I'm going to do it again, okay? This is Egberto Willies, and you know how I end this program. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right,
I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.